The following is a presentation of the Force Center podcast feed. From the center of the galaxy, this is the Force Center podcast feed. Now it's time for Spotlight Star Wars with your host, Ken Napzok.
That's right, my friends from the center of the galaxy. This is Spotlight Star Wars. Love hanging out with all of you. This is a show that I often say is a monologue from me to you, but that also doesn't account for the guests that occasionally roll in here. I don't want them to have to listen to my monologue, so this is a different show today. And we are getting ready for Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, Star Wars Celebration 2022. Crazy to say out loud. And the last one was 2019. And I want to go back and revisit that with someone who experienced Star Wars Celebration for the first time in 2019. Talk to them about what they wish they'd known, what they know now, and the difference, and what they're looking forward to in 2022. And that includes, I'm sure, a lot of hotel lobby bar hanging out, and maybe a drink or two. So joining me on Spotlight Star Wars today, she's returning to the Force Center podcast feed. She's one of the co-hosts and minds behind the GALactic Broadcast and the Geek Broadcast. A lot of play on words, which we all love here. Please welcome back to the show, Lauren Romo. Romo, how you doing?
What's going on, Ken? Bright suns, buddy. God, celebration. We are days away. This is insane to think about. Like 2 years. It's been 2 years since we've seen a celebration. It's nuts.
Like 3. I mean, we're 3 calendar year type of. It's like a weird. It's crazy to think, which is one of the things I want to talk about here. And also, bright suns. How many times do you say that to people in real life, and how many times do they react in the right way?
They just look at me like I said something alien, and that I have no clue. But I do it for that reaction, though. I'm like, only I know what I'm saying, so.
Do you
can react the way you want. Yeah.
Do it at the coffee shop, maybe when you're if you're getting food dropped off at the house. Bright suns, thank you.
Yeah, totally. DoorDasher all the time. Hit him up with the bright suns, man.
Have you had? I forget. Have you had the chance to go to Galaxy's Edge? I can't remember.
I haven't. No, but maybe we'll get to this later on. But I am going to Star Wars Night at Celebration, so I'm very excited for that. Very excited. Yeah. So.
TBD for me, but that's part of the discussion here today. Basically, it just means I'm trying to find tickets, scalpers. Anyone's got tickets, let me know. So let's dive into this. Yes, going back to Chicago, 2019, you took the trip over. Anytime you and I have been on a show together, we have joked and looked back on when we first met. You ran into me and Joseph and others on the floor. So first of all, let's just talk about what was it like to meet someone as great as me?
No, that was a lot of fun because obviously at that time I was an admin for the former Jedi Council. Yeah. So, and you were a big part of what we were doing. You were very collaborative with the admins at the time. So it was very exciting for all of us to meet you. And then obviously we were all huge fans of Force Center anyway, too. So like meeting you and Joseph, that was cool. It was kind of very, at the time, very kind of rock star, like, oh man, this is Ken. This is Ken Napzok. It's Joseph Scripshaw. This is crazy.
And then the facade fell down, and you just know me as the absolute goofer that I am, which is
I wouldn't have it any other way, pal. Honestly,
more happy about it. And it's an absolute thrill. And if you're out there listening, you run into Joseph and I with masks on, and you can tell it's us here at Anaheim. Please absolutely say hi. We absolutely love it. Not for any. I'm joking about the glory of it all, but it is just fun. We don't see or hear the faces and the voices of the people we talk to every week, so it does mean a lot. It means a lot to a lot of content creators. Which Robo, we're going to jump around here a bit, but from 2019 to now, you yourself have become a Star Wars podcaster and content creator. Is this where it began, 2019 Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really was, to be honest. And you and I were just talking about this before we hit record, that so many, I feel like, obviously Chicago was a huge like burst of new content creators. Me and Andrea, my co-host, my cousin, included in that. I think I left Celebration and I immediately started talking to her and be like, dude, we got to do something. Like, it's just that energy that you felt in Chicago. And I mean, Ken, you've been to a lot of conventions. You can probably speak on that too, but just Chicago, I don't know, because this is my first one. It
Yeah.
was so special, and just that vibe was just like, man, you wanted really to be a part of Star Wars in a bigger, like a bigger way, like have your
Yeah.
voice heard, create content. So, yeah, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to say it, yeah, I started making content, and now I have, I do two podcasts with some friends, and
It's
then obviously Andrea, my cousin. So
yeah.
it's wild,
No,
wild stuff, fam.
no, that's wonderful, and it is fortunate. Yeah, there was something in the air 2019, and yeah, I joke, but it's like you and Alden Diaz over at Octo Radio, Rick
Hmm.
McCallum's son Scotty over at Bomb Bad Podcast, and others, and more folks that I don't know, and apologize to anyone I'm overlooking or forgetting. But yeah, it just seemed a lot of podcasts emerge from that, or at least I'm seeing it. Right, I don't
Right,
listen to a lot of
right.
podcasts, Star Wars, otherwise, to be clear. And so when I
Hmm.
see some of the tweets or things come, oh my gosh, that's the anniversary. We decided to podcast 2019 celebration. What was it? What did you feel that you either were missing or wanted to
Hmm.
be a part of beyond just a place to talk about Star Wars? Or maybe that was it. What when
Hmm.
you're walking around that convention floor, the
Yeah.
hotel lobbies, or in the cabs over to the event? What was it? What really made you go, we got to get in on this?
Yeah, I think it was just like I was saying, there's just something in the air, the energy when you were just walking around and you just hear people talking about random Star Wars, like just, maybe their favorite moments or just having these,
Yeah.
nerd conversations about Star Wars. And I'm just like, man, I want to do that, but I want to do it more. Like I want to
Yeah.
do it on like a regular basis. And it just sounded fun. You would see, like I said, I mean, you would see people that were content creators at the time, like
Mm.
interviewing people. And, I, at the time I actually got to talk to Steele Saunders, and
Mm-hmm.
like he put me and a couple of my friends, like he interviewed us. So that was kind of like seeing people just create content and people just, having fun and enjoying it. I'm like,
Mm.
man, I kind of want to do it. So
Mm.
yeah, I just after Chicago, it was just like a big like, oh, okay, like
Mm.
this is something I want to do, something I want to explore. And then I knew my cousin was as big as a nerd as I was, because that's all we did. I mean, that's partially why we started it, was because our conversations at family events, it
Mm.
would be us in the corner, literally us in the corner talking Star Wars, like nobody else, just me and her. And then my brother would maybe casually come in and talk a little bit
Mm.
about it too. But yeah, that's it. Chicago kind of just hit it home to where it's like, yeah, dude, I think I want to talk about it more in depth, and just, really just have some fun with it. And that's kind of where
Yeah.
it started. Yeah, it's crazy.
The spirit of celebration was alive and well. And yeah,
Hmm.
in terms of this will be my fourth Star Wars celebration, and I didn't go back to the I wasn't at the older ones. My pal Mark Riley was, and different times, smaller conventions. I had heard about them, but it was so weird. I don't know. It was conventions didn't really enter my life till about 2010, 11 range, and later 2012 starting to work them and cover them with the schmoes and
Hmm.
Screen Junkies and Collectors. So I remember hearing about Star Wars Celebration to just being like, what was that, like a cruise? Like, what was that, a camp? Like, what is this? I
It
don't
did
know.
sound kind of like celebration. Okay, like,
But it's
all
grown
right.
and grown and grown. In 2015, 2017, Orlando. I did not go to the London one in 2016, unfortunately. And Chicago was the biggest of them all, especially in terms of days. Number one, 5
Yeah,
days. I think
yeah,
the end of the Skywalker saga, but that being the big marketing around Rise of Skywalker, everything. It was the biggest of the big. And I even think this year has a tough time living up to that. So I get
yeah.
what you're saying about the
I would
spirit.
agree.
And it was so big. It was a giant convention, and Chicago is easy enough to get around. I think that was my first time in Chicago proper. I'd been to Rosemont for conventions and everything before, but it was a good experience in that regard. But it was so big, which means it can be a little overwhelming. And I want to, especially
Yep.
for I'm hearing people even now going to Anaheim going, oh, this is my first Star Wars celebration. Not even, first convention, maybe even two, but even I got some veteran convention goers in my life who are like, oh, this is my first Star Wars celebration. So, Lauren, I
Hmm.
really wanted to bring you on among
Hmm.
all the things I want to talk to you about. Going into 2019 and then coming out of it, what are the
Hmm.
things you knew, didn't know, and wish you knew, and now know going into 2022?
Yeah, so I mean, going into 19, that was my first convention of any kind. I've talked to
Mm-hmm.
you about that a lot. So
Right.
I was very not nervous, but I was like, I don't know what to expect, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
watched Celebration Orlando on YouTube when they were streaming it. I'm like, oh, okay, it looks fun, but
Yeah.
you just don't, you don't know what to expect, especially like I said, first convention of any kind. So I was like, all right. I kind of went in with like not zero expectations, but just trying to soak it in. And that was because I talked to you prior to going. I remember you were doing a stream and I asked you, I'm like, hey, first timer, what were what do you think is like a good kind of like, starting point or expectations? And I think what really helped me was just going in there and just let it soak in, like just experience it. Like you and I've talked about, like that first day, like I took a lap around the convention to kind of get my bearings. Where's this? Where's that booth? What's going on over here? Where's the
Where's the
exhibits?
beer?
This, that.
Yep.
The beer was very important. I found that immediately. So,
Yep.
but it was, I think going into it, I didn't know what to expect, but I'm glad how I approached it, because I think now going to Anaheim, like I remember in Chicago, like the big thing to me at the time was like panels. Like, oh, I want to go to as many panels as I can. I want to, experience that and stuff. And then the more that I tried to like do that or think about panels when I was in Chicago, I was just like, I'm just having a good time just walking around the main floor, talking to people, just going to booths and everything. So that was, I think, what I learned from Chicago and I'm going to do in Anaheim is definitely like, again, go to panels, like if I can, for sure. I do have like a couple like in mind that like I'll go to, but like if I don't get to it, I'm not going to be like, oh man, like I'm not going to be upset or feel like I'm missing out, right? Because I think a lot of the enjoyment for me in Chicago and what I'm hoping obviously to go to Anaheim was just like I'm saying, like just walking around the floor is an experience in itself. Like the cosplay, that's one thing that I was blown away in Chicago. I was not expecting like the cosplay to be that like that powerful and be like, God, people like take this very seriously. Like, I mean, I knew I was a Star Wars fan, but going into Chicago, I was like, man, there are some serious, like hardcore cosplayers. And I was just not, it's not like I wasn't ready for it, but I didn't expect it to hit me. And like now I am really looking forward to seeing the cosplay. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully seeing like Star Wars visions, like people cosplaying in those characters, So like those type of things I feel are what I'm really looking forward to, or is just kind of again soaking it in, and I'm gonna say that's the best advice I think I've gotten from anybody, but like I said, from you, it's just taking it in and just enjoying the moment and just enjoying the vibe, because it is gonna feel like home, right? Like it's gonna be a little weird, it's gonna be a little different. We're all wearing masks, but it's gonna have that like Chewy we're home type of feel, I feel. And it's going to be great. And
Romo, that's a great point. And there's some things I want to jump in on there too.
Yeah.
But I want to start with the last point. I wonder, I think that's going to be an emotional tidal wave. I'll just say that.
100% agree.
Where the Chewy we're home thing's a great way to look at it, because even if you've gotten back to some conventions in the last couple of years, I've gotten back up on stage in the stand-up comedy world and done a show here and there in other cities and traveled, and it kind of feels normal, kind of feels okay. But then again, safety and all that stuff's a legitimate concern, and I'll be wearing my mask and all that good stuff too. But I just think you're right. I think it's going to be so overwhelming just to be there again, where we are in the world, which is still on fire in so many parts, so many corners. But to be there, and it's okay to turn it all off to celebrate Star Wars, because it's so important. The lessons that we all learn, the lessons we can all share and take to the rest of the world, can make even the rest of the world feel better. Not to get on some giant, philosophical soapbox here, but I think it will matter. I think it will matter that we're all back together again, and I think that's going to be a great thing. And I think that's an excellent point you made there, Lauren.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be one of those like, man, I've missed this. Like, it's just going to be like you're saying, turn off what else is going on and just enjoying those 4 days. And what I'm really excited too is that obviously in Chicago, I didn't have the podcast. I didn't know as many people on the Star Wars community in Twitter at that time, but now I know so many people, and I know so many like fellow content creators now that I am so excited just to like literally just hang out with them. Like that is so like what I'm looking forward to the most, to be honest, is just going there and like seeing, like hanging out with you, hanging out with all my other content creators that I've gotten to be friends with. I mean, we've mentioned some of them: Alden, Scotty, and Jerry from Bombad. Like,
Yeah.
it's just going to be so different for me from Chicago, just because, like, I'm a podcaster, and I know other creators, so it's gonna be cool to do. I made
Yeah.
buttons to pass out and
You got
everything
the
like that.
buttons. Okay.
I got the buttons. I got the buttons. Limited edition. I only got 50 kids. So
Oh, there you go. There you go. Force
yeah,
Center.
yeah.
Force Center will just be handing out nods as we see from across the room. No, this is great. I
That's
mean,
the most Force Center thing to do for sure.
is it? And it's not. Is it just as simple as? I hear what you're saying, and I'm trying to dig into it a little bit more of not just simply that you have a podcast, which was great, have a couple of podcasts, but do you just feel a little bit more plugged into the community at large, which is why I think, have these celebrations. It's not just about plugging the podcast. You should have those buttons to pass out, but also just being around Star Wars fans, especially. I always say we all kind of grew up isolated. If you're a little older, maybe if you're a little younger, it's a different feeling. But even then, I always say it's a unique shared journey. That you just kind of feel you're alone, and you're not on an island once you get to Star Wars Celebration. Do you feel just more connected? Is that just kind of what's going on?
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, Ken. Like, it's like going to an event like this, especially when I went to Chicago. Like, I just didn't like. I knew Star Wars was big. Like, I knew it was a big franchise and people loved it. But going to an event like Celebration, it changes your perspective because it is so much bigger than I think I have even known. Like, I mean,
it's like the Force.
It is. You're 100% right. Like, it really is. It's people connected through this one singular thing, and it's mind blowing that people will come from all across the world. I mean, you and I both know people that are coming from across the sea, and coming to Anaheim for celebration. So it's crazy how connected this franchise is and how popular. Like, I knew that, but just it still blows my mind when I think about Chicago, and just like how huge, how people were like just happy. Like, it really was like people were just walking around happy. Like, when for instance, like the Rise of Skywalker trailer, you've seen all these videos, and that's one of my favorite things to do, is looking at people's like reactions when they're on the main floor, and people crying and people hugging each other that they didn't even know. Like, it's insane how those little moments can happen at Celebration, and you're a part of it, and you just feel this this huge community feel. And it is very different than Twitter, right? I mean, Twitter can be Twitter. You and I both know that.
Twitter's a wasteland. Yeah,
it is.
It better be different than Twitter, or there's going to be a lot of fights in hotel lobby bars.
This is not. You're not far off, my friend. But it does, like, it. Once you're there, that just goes away. It really does. Like, it just, the people, you feel it. I mean, Ken, like, the people that are there because they love Star Wars, and in whatever way they love it. And you feel that, though. That's the thing. Like, you feel people's energy when they're there, and it's just fun. And then, even, like, honestly, like I said, the cosplay and just seeing like families too, like, it's awesome. It just puts everything in like a really unique perspective, I think.
I want to go back to the cosplay thing. You had a real interesting reaction to the cosplay, which I definitely understand. And it's maybe a little bit more emotional. And you're talking about, you take your kind of almost your first steps into a larger world, the Star Wars Celebration Convention. And even though you've been a Star Wars fan your entire life, you're suddenly like, whoa, I feel like Rey on the island. It's bigger than I ever could have imagined. Wow. Yeah. This is amazing. And like, even me, an old salty dog like myself, I remember the person who was going around as Admiral Raddus in Chicago. I got some great photos. Joseph took some photos of me, and here I am. I love Raddus, and I love my pal Steven Stanton voicing Raddus, and Paul Casey doing the actual movement. But I was moved beyond. I was like, I believed it. I was standing next to Raddus, and it does overtake you. And I could be not cynical, but I can be jaded about it. I know a lot of friends over the years in LA who are like professional cosplayers and have been around it, and it's so fascinating, and it's such a skill to put it all together that I can just kind of be like, yeah, cosplay. But then, you kind of get there, and you're moved by. I remember seeing a guy in Tarkin cosplay with slippers on, and the inside joke of Peter, Mayhew, excuse me, Peter Cushing, in got my Peters mixed up, Peter Cushing and slippers on the set, and all those kind of things.
Right.
And yeah, it just does become bigger, and you really kind of feel it. So I think I was really. I really like what you said about that there, Lauren, about the cosplay among all the things, kind of blowing you out your shoes, just kind of like, whoa, look at this. It's something kind of interesting and different. That's great.
And deep cuts though too, like you say, like people are so creative when they come to cosplay, and it blows my mind that they take their time and create these like amazing cosplays, and they want to show it off, and the place to do it is Star Wars Celebration, and that's like the place where somebody would be like, oh my god, I get that deep cut, like you're saying, the slippers on Tarkin, or the boom mic guy with the pink shorts. That's one of my favorite cosplays to run into. Like, there's just the deep cuts is just, it's amazing. And then to see all like the older characters, the Leias, the Lukes, the Hans, then you get the sequel trilogy, and you get the Reys and the Finns and the Poes. Like, you see the array of just how generational Star Wars is. Like, it doesn't, I mean, it clicked to me, and I knew it, but like at Celebration, it hits you in a different way when you see just this generational, how big it is that way. It's amazing. It really is it's a one-time event. Like, it's just
an array of rays. Looking back at 2019, in the time we have remaining, and we'll look back at 2019, then I want to look ahead 2022 with you here. We're talking about memories and emotions and good things. What were some of the mistakes that you might feel you made in 2019?
Man, that's a good call, because there's, I think a lot of things that I didn't do. Well, I don't know if it's a regret, but like if you're huge into art in like the different covers that they do, or different variant posters, man, bring a poster tube and get as many as you want, because the artwork, I think I really missed out on, like getting that nice piece of like Star Wars art that is great for an office, like, it's just, I wish I would have did that. I think I wish I would have like delve into that area of the convention more.
If I may, that the point there on that is, and I think it's a good point, is there's a lot of great merch. There's a lot of figures and things that you can get and track down, but there's something special about the art that I will say is perhaps the most. They offer the most unique things on the convention floor. Not to say anything about, you can get a good priced Funko Pop or a loose Kenner figure. Like, I am definitely going to get
covers and all that stuff.
I'm definitely looking to get myself a Kenner Emperor's Royal Guard out of box, just loose, $10. I want that. There's that, but there's something, the art side. Always go through those art galleries. You'll see some of the best, most unique Star Wars pieces of merch and memorabilia, and you're right, you can take a lot of it home, and it will absolutely just get you in the feel. So that's a good point too. So, all right, so you made the mistake. You didn't go get much art. But,
no, I didn't
we'll look
buy
ahead
art.
To 2022 in a second. What other mistakes?
I think the only other one is really, just maybe experiencing. Like I said, I go back to the panels. Like, I didn't go to all of them. Did I really miss out? I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on that. But I think the other one is, I think just enjoying, or really, now that I know so many people, this won't be a problem. But I think in Chicago, like, just honestly go up to somebody and strike a conversation with them about Star Wars. Like make friends, man, because those friendships, I'll tell you, they'll last you a lifetime. I mean, and you have that connection already with something that you both enjoy. So, like, if you are by chance going by yourself for the first time, or this is, going to a convention, and you're not going with like a group of people or whatever, seriously, just, buzz around the floor and have interaction. I think I wish I would have did that more, just to build more friendships. And plus, I'm super introverted, as you know. So, like, get out of your comfort zone, because I think it's a good thing in this type of kind of space, because you have people that are like-minded, as far as like they love Star Wars, they're here for Star Wars, like this is why you're there, you enjoy it, you find, that commonality with people. And it's just, I think I would have I think I would have loved to have done that more, like branch out and talk to people more.
Yeah. And in the second half of this episode, I'll be barfing up some thoughts on what I think can help make a successful convention run. And there's no, and honestly, there's no wrong way to do it. I mean, I guess someone can dream up a wrong way to do it, but it's just, you got to approach it, with your own plan, and also lack of plan is one of the things I probably preach. But yeah, I think that's a good point too, is conventions. If you get a chance, if you're just passing through, get it. And I am introverted too, believe it or not. And it's not just, I know some of your introverted nature comes from the shame of being a Detroit Tigers fan. I know that. Mine comes from the confidence of being a Yankee fan. But I have a tendency, especially in the early ones, I would just pass on through and do what I need to do what I want to do, and just kind of keep to myself. And this is long before I was doing podcasts, and this is even with like wrestling conventions and everything like that. That's changed. And I think that changed. It was easier for me because now people are, hey, I listen to you or I watch it. That's a different experience. I understand that. But y'all listening, and Lauren knows, just even off camera, I always joke about the hotel lobby bar or going to chain restaurants and all that kind of stuff. All that really means, all I'm really talking about is what you're talking about, maybe slightly missing out on. I think you probably connected, maybe even more than realized. But to take a moment, it is about the people. It's about Star Wars, but it's about the people. And it's not about the news. It's not about the panels. Panels are great if you want to go to them, especially the big ones. Find a little one or something. But I think you could get a wonderful experience out of Celebration by never setting foot in any panel room. Big 100% or small.
Agree. Yeah.
So I think that's right. The personal connections, it's real. And sometimes you might have to seek it out. And sometimes it's just being there, soaking it in a hotel lobby bar. Fine. There's always a main one. Every convention has a main one. You just have to find it where everyone's being put up if they're, maybe impressed or, this and that. Like there was the one in Chicago where I looked out, I was riding up the escalator, I looked down and go, hey, Memphis Nest is having breakfast. And there's Aaron Kellyman down there. Like that never gets old. And I'm not suggesting run up to her and be like, I love Infant's Nest. I wanted to, but be careful with that. But, there is something about that. And I think that's a good point there. So not a mistake, but just something that maybe you want to work on as you go towards 2022. So, Romo, in the time we have remaining here, Anaheim, 2022. I hope to God you're going into the right airport, but we'll find out. How are you approaching this next one here?
Yeah, I think my approach for this one for sure is kind of similar to Chicago, but again, I think little tweaks. Like honestly, again, be like we are just talking about, be more social, have more conversations, meet, just have fun, enjoy my experience as a Star Wars fan in a convention with other Star Wars, nerds like me. I think going again, the panels, like, hey, I have a couple circles, right? Like, hey, okay, sure, I want to go to those. If I don't, that's cool. Again, I think the art is, I need to buy art. I already told my cousin, I'm like, look at, because I think Star Wars just released some of the art that they'll be having available. I told Andrea, I'm like, if you want anything, let me know. So like, I know people that can't go, so I've texted them and be like, "Hey, dude, if you need anything, let me know. I'll hunt it down for you." Yeah. So just again, I think it's more for me. And again, it was great advice from you. Is just enjoying it and experiencing it how you want to experience it. But again, have a plan, but don't have a plan at the same time. Like you said, like just if you have a little panel that you want to go to, I know like the High Republic is going to be huge this year. Comic books are huge, video game stuff. Get to it, man. If that's your passion, go to it. Have fun. They are, if you get into one, they are fun. Like you learn some stuff from the authors or whatnot. It's a really cool experience for sure. Like experience it, but don't forget to just soak it in and take it in. And I think that's what definitely I'm gonna do more of this year, is just hang out, like you're saying, and just have a good time. And have, I do have a microphone for my phone, which you provided me, so I appreciate you as always. So I have that. So if I want to make content as a content creator, I can. Like I'm there, I can do that, and it will be a lot of fun too. So that will be something I think I have to balance too, because that's where I'm going in as well. Like, okay, do I make a lot of content? Do I not make a lot of content? But I just want to go in and if it feels right, it feels right. I'll throw the mic on and have a conversation with people, and if not, just enjoy my time, man. That's where I'm going to be at.
Good final question then to ask is this year you have a media pass, right? Am I correct in assuming that? Was that what
I have the 4-day? No, I don't have the media. I do have the 4-day though. I do have the 4-day.
Okay, but you are media and you got a podcast.
In my eyes, Ken, I am media.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on mess that up there.
No,
all right,
you're
but
fine.
you're there with the idea of content creating.
Yes.
And is that adding in extra pressure? Do we need a pre-counsel you through any of that, or you're saying to create or not to create? And do you have a new kind of layer of overwhelmedness?
I don't think it might be self pressure for sure. But I was talking to another friend, another podcaster, and they basically said the same thing. Like, listen, man, if you can do it, you can do it. And make content. But have it should be do you first. Have fun. That should be your main priority. Is have fun. Second priority is if you can make content, and that's all grandy. It's all that's all dandy, and I think that's where I'm going to put my headspace in for this year for sure. Now that I do have a podcast, and it's you do have that kind of like whole do I make a lot, do I make a little, what should I do? And then I think it just comes down to for me personally, just like just enjoy it. If it feels right, throw the mic on, talk to you or talk to anybody else, and have a little bit of content, and then you can throw it out there when you get home. And that's what I told myself too. I'm like, I'm not going to bring my laptop. I'll have the mic. Not going to bring my laptop, because then that would put pressure on me to create and get it out. So I'm like, I'm just going to not do that, and I'll be okay for sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Well, I'll have you talk to my people if you want to interview me there. I'm kidding, enough. Of course. I'll be there.
Fair enough.
I'll be there. You know where you can find me. Final thing there, because it's Anaheim. It's you got Disney nearby. You've got I'm not going to call it the chain restaurant capital of the world, but it might be in the running, which is a favorite of me and Mark Ellis, that idea of chain restaurants taking over the land. Have you some of the actual logistics, without giving away your location, of course? We don't want that. But have you thought of even just some of those logistics? Where do I eat? Where do I party? Where do I celebrate?
Yes.
What do I do?
Yeah. That's where I am all the above, Ken. Like I already have this is how, again, I get this from my mother. My cousin called me out on this the other day. Like I already have like the shirts I'm wearing to the convention all planned out. Now I'm in the phase of like, okay, what am I wearing at the hotel lobby bars? What am I wearing if we go to this? I'm going to Star Wars night. I'm very excited about that because I've never been to Galaxy's Edge in either land or world. So very excited to experience that. Yeah. So I am very itinerary too. So now I will have to look at like where I'm at, what's close. I also get your recommendations as well, being a local Californian. So I'm all about the planning. So I'm in, now that we're very close to the event, I'm in that type of mode, like thinking, all right, what am I doing? Where do I go? What's good to eat? Where what's the recommendations and stuff like that? Yeah, definitely.
As you're talking, I'm looking on a map here, and I'll just say for anyone listening here, there's some key things you need to know. There's if you've never been to Anaheim, if you're traveling in. Some of you might have made the trip to watch the Tigers lose to the Angels or something at the stadium, or just gone to one of the two theme parks there. So not speaking to you, but if you're kind of new and you're heading there and you're landing, you don't know the area that well, and the convention at one point does shut down, and you got various hotels and various places to be and events to get at. Downtown Disney is going to absolutely be hopping and popping, but the intersection of Harbor and Catella is your friend. If you go north on Harbor from the convention center, depending on where you are at your hotel, you might have to drive there. There's just IHOPs. There's a McDonald's up by Disneyland. There's all those kind of things. But on Catella is where you got your cheesecake factories. You got my favorite, the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. This is a place a lot of people are going to be hanging out and having fun, as well as the two main hotels. The Marriott there, I think, is the one. And then you got the other one, the Hilton Anaheim, which is you got a great food court, by the way. These are the logistics, and
yes,
it's something I do think is valuable. Chicago was a different experience for me. I was also there for comedy, doing Mark Ellis's hour comedy special taping. Also there for the Schmodown, so I had to travel more. So we had a little bit of a different vibe, and we hit different restaurants and everything. So I actually didn't spend as much time as I would have wanted around the convention. But Orlando was interesting too. Sometimes I do wish, it seems like a joke I make about the theme restaurants, but hey, it's not just where the party's at. It's like, what do I do? Because there is, if you're there for a long period of time, no matter where you stay, there's a lot of downtime where you're not at the convention. You're out and about waiting for the next time or waiting for tomorrow. So yeah, that's one of the things. Catella and Harbor, that's your friend. That's all I'll say there.
I'm writing that down. Definitely writing that down. It's really funny. So my friend Katie, who's my podcasting partner on Geek Broadcast, her and we both flying on the day before, so Wednesday. And what we did in Chicago is we went to like a local Target or whatever and got snacks for the convention. So that's how we did it. Just again, say if you're in like the saving money type of thinking, like I am sometimes, we're doing that the day before, getting snacks and things like that. So that's always
you're in luck, Lauren, because there's a giant Target on Harbor south of West Chapman Avenue. Okay, everybody, write these all down.
I looked into that, Ken, and that's the one I think we're going to.
Absolutely. And there's an Outback Steakhouse and a Red Robin Gourmet Burger, where I have not claimed my birthday month burger from last month. I'll have to see if they offer a vegan burger there now. Anyways, I'm joking about some of it. I always joke about the chain restaurants. I'm not going to spend every night at the Bubba Gump Shrimp over there. But it is a key part of these conventions when you're there for a long time, especially Star Wars. San Diego Comic-Con is so different because the entire city becomes the con, and every that downtown gas lamp district is part of the con. It's a little different in some of these bigger cities. Just kind of know your way around, find your pod, find your friends, and like I say, be loose, plan, but don't be rigid like the Jedi Order, the prequel era. Go flow, and find the flow. Yep. All right, Lauren, we are almost out of here. I'm going to take a quick break in a moment, come back with a couple little extra tips for Star Wars Celebration if anyone wants to hear them from me. But before we take this break, Lauren, please tell them where they can find you and your shows, because I want them to listen to you. And I want our Force Center listeners to find you at Star Wars Celebration and take a photo with you and say hi and have a conversation. So where can they find you?
So I'll be in the corner of the convention at Anaheim for all those interactions. No, but you can follow me on Twitter at Loro Knows. You can follow the GALactic Podcast at the GALactic Pod on Twitter, and also the other podcast, Geek Broadcast, at Geek Broads Pod on Twitter and on Twitch, because we do some twitching. We're in that little pool of fun. Yep. Twitch. So I'll be actually doing some streaming. We will put a alert up when we go live. So yeah, catch me in all those spots.
Lovely stuff. Always fun to chat with you. So happy we got to meet in 2019 and build a friendship and a rapport on and off air after. You're one of the best, Lauren. Thank you so much, Lauren Romo. Everybody, we'll be right back here on Spotlight Star Wars. Welcome back to Spotlight Star Wars, episode 151 of an ongoing series of me ruminating about Star Wars. Special thanks again to Lauren Romo from the Geek Broadcast and the GALactic Broadcast, coming on in here talking about Star Wars Celebration. And it was during that interview that I thought, I just want to jot down some ideas, tips, if you will, that I feel some of you might not need to hear, want to hear going into Star Wars Celebration, if it is, in fact, your first time, and specifically, like, if it's your first convention. I have had a lot of fun at conventions over the years, after watching them, as I even kind of mentioned in that interview with Lauren, watching them from afar, not quite wondering. My roommates back in the day in the early 2000s used to go to that thing called San Diego Comic-Con when it was like a booth and maybe 4 card tables, and they had a lot of fun all the time. And so I started to, once I really kind of moved more into the nerd world, the professional nerd world, and the intense movie news nerd pundit world, I was like, I gotta experience these cons. And I've made mistakes, learned lessons, and I just have that feeling there's so many people excited about 2022 Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. Hearing a lot of you, hey, I'm heading on out, first convention, first celebration, maybe even first trip to SoCal. So I just have some thoughts. Nothing gospel. Just, and some of it we even maybe touched a little bit on, but I want to, in the interview with Lauren, but I wanted to expand on it here. So, not going to take too much of your time. Star Wars celebration tips from your old crazy Uncle Kenny. Number 1, give yourself time, no matter where you're going, no matter what you're doing, and no matter where you're staying, no matter what you're wearing, cosplay or just a T-shirt, and hopefully some pants. Give yourself time. Learn the time it takes, and realize, and that's just, Chicago was a big cab convention for me, and I'm not opposed to rideshare. Love a good rideshare, but if I have the choice between a cab and a rideshare option, I'm going to go with the cab, even if they're a little more expensive. And nowadays they might even be more cheaper. I just kind of like the professionals. You don't need to talk. We don't need to chat. I'm not above that. I actually enjoy chatting with my rideshare drivers. But I just want to get me to where we're going. And the Chicago cabbies were great. I had no transportation issues in Chicago. Orlando, a little different. First was in an Airbnb far away, then moved to a hotel, did a lot of walking. The humidity kind of got me, and I wish I was a little bit more prepared for that. Star Wars Celebration Anaheim 2015, another different experience. I was in walking distance as well, but had that kind of thought of, I'm in my hotel room. The thing I need to get to is at 3. I'll leave it like 2:40, and half the time was running to get there. So even just on a simple level, give yourself time. And give yourself time. That includes when you hit the floor. Maybe you want to get to one specific booth. Maybe you do want that discount Funko exclusive, the pop in the corner. Give yourself time to not just get to the convention floor, but to get across that same floor. A lot of people, depending on what day you go, of course. And for those of you who are listening who have been to conventions before or Star Wars Celebration, you might be nodding. You might even have your own ideas and your own tips and your own alterations on my tips, and tweet those out. I want Force Center listeners who are listening with a desire to know the best way to approach this. I want them to get all the points of view on it here. But yeah, that's one of the big things I say. Even for San Diego Comic-Con, which is an entire different beast, that has to be factored in. Not just your daily schedule, but just the overall grind. Orlando, I found myself, even though the convention center was big and wonderful, and there's a lot of hotels around it, I was fortunate enough to be close enough. The Collider base of operations was close enough to walk, but my hotel required me to ride into that hotel and then walk over. I just found myself more often than not exhausted at Orlando. By the time I hit the floor, whether it was to do work or cover panels, hey, at least at the panel you could sit down, or if it was just the moments I had to walk around when I was working with Collider at the time, I found myself more exhausted than any other convention. I hadn't prepared myself for the travel, the transportation, and did not give myself enough time. So no matter where you're going, no matter what you're doing, give yourself time. Number 2, in no particular order here, focus on what you want to accomplish, but be open to what you'll find. You kind of heard me talking about that with Lauren. I say, hey, have a plan, but just don't plan. What I mean by that is you might have a specific goal of something you want to see. Hit that. Try to hit that. That might mean you either can hopefully win a lottery to get into a big panel, or you might have to wait. And even then, you hit a lottery, you're going to have to wait. Again, see, number 1, give yourself more time. Maybe it's a specific piece of art. Maybe it is just art in general. Maybe it's, like I always say, I'm searching for a hat. I want a good hat. Do that. Make sure you do that. Give yourself the time to do that. But also along the way, you're going to find yourself distracted in the most wonderful of manners. And you might be with a friend. You might be with other friends. You might meet friends. You might meet new people. Doesn't matter. The ebb and flow of the event will take you where you need to be, not to turn it into a conversation about the living force or something like that. But I truly believe that. Again, if it's something specific, look at the announced panels, look at where you want to go, look at where maybe you feel you can go, and know that also you might have to let some of it go. There might be a big panel. Maybe you want to hit the Mandalorian panel on Saturday morning, and maybe you don't win the lottery. You can't get into it. It's okay. It is okay. There's so much more for you to experience and so much more for you to take in. So hopefully you get to do all the things. You get to experience all the things that you want and you're dreaming about doing right now. But don't be afraid if you don't hit it all. Just be open to it. Be open to where the convention takes you. Number 3, I really believe this. Let yourself be overwhelmed. Again, I'm speaking to people who have never been to a Star Wars celebration, which I will contend is different than any other convention. Conventions have their own personalities. I used to work a lot of the Wizard World ones when I was producing and hosting at Screen Junkies, those that had a different vibe. The WonderCon, which is still kind of put on by the same folks behind San Diego Comic-Con, WonderCon, LA Comic-Con, different vibes, different situations. At San Diego Comic-Con, it should be experienced at least once in your nerd life, but it's its own beast as well. Star Wars Celebration, we talk about the joy, we talk about the community. All those things are very true. But as a Star Wars fan, I've talked about it here on Force Center, but in 2015, I had already been working some conventions. Had already started going to conventions, covered them with Schmoes No, and hadn't quite yet. I was two or 3 months away from starting the Screen Junkies job, which opened up my world to a whole other section of conventions with the Wizard World stuff and everything. But I digress. Sounding like a drunk uncle at a party, just wandering. And eventually I start talking about the weather here. And the weather was good in Anaheim in 2015, I will add. Anyways, I was overwhelmed before I even got there. I was in Las Vegas for a pro wrestling convention, something I do every year, a part of an alumni association there, and I was driving back. That's why you always hear me tell that story of watching the Chewy We're Home trailer in Primm, Nevada, and my friends were there, my coworkers were there, and I had to go home first, and it was a Thursday night, and I had to stay at home in my apartment in Studio City at the time, and the next morning I was getting up early to drive to Anaheim, and then my hotel was that da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And that Thursday night, I was already overwhelmed. I felt left out. And some of you might be traveling. You might be traveling and not getting there till Thursday. Maybe you only got the 2-day pass and you're there Friday or Saturday. Maybe you only got Saturday and you're going to see things from afar and you're going to hear things and watch things on the internet from your hotel room. And you're going to feel like you're missing out and you're going to feel pre-overwhelmed. Then you get there. Then you get to the floor and you get the cosplayers around you. You get the fans. You might see a podcaster, a YouTuber, you might see an actual Star Wars performer, a writer, director there, and you're a fan of them, and it all starts to overwhelm you. That's okay. Let that happen. I contend it's part of the fun. You just kind of gotta pull back after that. I think once you acknowledge, oh my God, there's too much for me to comprehend, and as a Star Wars fan, it's a special kind of emotion. It's almost too much. It's almost too much of a good thing you feel. That's okay. In a way it is. Give yourself that moment. Give yourself the beat. I always say, like, on the floor the first day, just start. I don't know how you are in, say, parking lots or parking structures or leaving a stadium or something like that. Are you good at remembering where you parked? Maybe if you aren't, grab someone in your group that is. But get into that floor and find an anchor spot. I know this spot exists. And I know every day I can come to this trash can by this booth and I can catch my breath. And you'll start to see the convention floor open up. And yes, you'll have maps and you'll have apps. But I'm telling you, it goes beyond that. Once you get there and the buzz, and there's a literal buzz in these convention halls, just a roar of people, a constant just conversation happening, and you're hearing all of it and you're seeing all of it. It starts to become overwhelming, but find those little anchor points. Don't be afraid. Don't think, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. This is too much. Admit that, have that moment, then take a breath, and then go back to it all. Find those little spots and find your way around. By the time you get to the floor for the last time, whether it's the last day or the last hour of your one day there, you will feel okay. Now, as far as panel rooms, that's another conversation. just know, like I said, number one, give yourself time, because wherever you need to be for a panel, it's farther than you first thought. Next one there, number 4, if you want to buy and collect, make room, especially if you're traveling out of state. It's not necessarily my story to tell. Maybe we'll prompt Joseph to tell the story again on one of the main shows. One of my memories of Chicago Star Wars Celebration was Joseph coming back to the hotel room. We stayed in a couple that time with more figures. And each time he kind of came back with more things. He is a convention veteran. He's even been to a lot more than me for many more years. But I could see the stress on his face. And it was, on one hand, fun to watch, just in terms of a Star Wars fan. Here's one of the greatest Star Wars minds in my estimation, struggling to figure out, does he have to leave clothes? Do I have to leave clothes behind to get my figures home? And we had bags. We had additional things to stuff toys in or art in so we could get it home. And I have had a couple conventions where I've had to leave things behind. I've had to make those tough choices. Don't be that person. Give yourself the space to shop and store. Even if you're getting in your car and heading down the 5 freeway like I am, give yourself the room. You are not going to believe what you find if you've never been to a Star Wars celebration. Now, if you've been to another convention, yeah, you might have an idea. But as a Star Wars fan, it just goes on and on and on. Budget, use your money wisely, all those kind of things your grandparents will tell you. Yeah, that's true too. But just as a Star Wars fan, your eyes are going to bulge. You're going to be like, that's that figure I wanted. Oh my God, look at that. You're going to look at a Kenner AT-AT, and you're going to be like, you know what? I don't even know if I need that, but I want it. Greed starts to take over. Collecting greed, unlimited collecting power starts to surge through your veins. Don't go the way of the Sith. Give yourself the room. Buy what you really need. Buy what you want. But just know at some point you have to get it home. My first convention, and an early episode of Spotlight Star Wars, I've made reference to it before. It's actually the one that's on my Napzok Files podcast feed before we officially launched Force Center. I recorded live in my hotel room with some of my older rudimentary equipment, and I just couldn't get the words out. I just come from the floor. I think it was my first day there, that Friday of that convention. And I was staying in my hotel, and my God, I just couldn't. I just so much. And I had the visual dictionary they released that year. I had a copy of another book. I can't remember even what the book was. And I just my bed in my hotel room was just covered with everything, covered with business cards and stickers and pogs and collector things that podcasts are throwing at you and all. And it just was on my hotel bed, and it was almost too much. It was almost too much. So again, be overwhelmed. That's okay. But just know you have to get it home. And you might have to make tough cuts if you're not prepared for that. The final thing, and Lauren and I did talk about it, and I'm glad we talked about it. If you are going to Star Wars Celebration for the first time, and again, in particular, if you've never been to a convention of this kind before, maybe you've been to a washer and dryer convention in Vegas, some trade show or something like that. But if you've never been to a convention, and again, I don't care how many days you're going. If you're going for the whole time, if you're going to be getting there on a Wednesday and leaving late Sunday or a Monday morning, maybe again, you only can get there for the Saturday. You can only get there for the Sunday. Or even, as I'm thinking aloud here, maybe you are there for more days, but you only have one pass on a Saturday and a Friday, and you might be feeling bummed about that. Just know this. I really believe this for Star Wars Celebration more than any other convention. My final tip: memories are made everywhere. You are going to find yourself, again, all these things. You're going to be buzzing as a fan. You're going to be overwhelmed by the love of Star Wars all around you. There's going to be things you want to see, things you want to do. Not all of it is gonna happen. You're gonna miss some folks. You're gonna see some folks over and over again. I always say there's like weird. You always find like a convention buddy, whether or not you hang out with them, not, or whether or not you even really know them. You'll at every coffee shop or every gift shop or every time you turn a corner, walk into a panel room, there's always like one person you keep. Oh, hey, Aaron, what are you doing? What are you doing? I've had that every convention I've gone to. It's no different from Star Celebration. So you're gonna have that. But you're going to have things you don't get to, and you're going to have places you just can't make it to, and you're going to go choose one direction. The Force will give you a choice. Am I going to go to Mos Eisley? Am I going to go hang out there on a Saturday night? Am I going to go to Star Wars Night on Friday? Or am I just going to go to a lobby bar with friends? Or what am I going to do? Am I going to go into the convention floor while my other friends are going to the panel? And you'll start to feel as though you're missing out. Or again, you're watching from your hotel room, watching a live stream because you feel as though, hey, I don't have a ticket. I'm missing out. I'll guess I'll go tomorrow and make all my memories up then. Memories at conventions are made everywhere. Your walk to downtown Disney, your dinner or lunch in downtown Disney, hell, your lunch around the corner at McDonald's or Panera. There's so many options in the era. You are going to make memories. Some of my most important and most cherished memories of Star Wars celebrations are the rides to the convention hall, the walks back. It's me and Joseph laughing in the back of a Chicago cab because the cab driver is asking us about basketball, and Joseph doesn't follow basketball, and I kind of follow basketball. I watch other sports, but not that one, and we just were laughing because this guy just saw us and assumed we knew what Scottie Pippen did in 1993, and it was a fun conversation. That memory is just as important as the ones on the floor. Then there are the ones on the floor with Joseph and Brian, Mark Ellis and Darina and Thad Williams and all the other folks I've worked with before, wandering the floor, having fun. One of my greatest memories is because we got stuck in Chicago the last day, that Monday. We were supposed to all fly out Sunday. Didn't happen. So we all headed back for that Monday. Me and Emma Fife and Thad Williams and Tom Dagnino, some of the names some of you might know from the Schmodown or Collider World. We went back, and that was when we ran into the Belgium wing of the 501st, who had a plaque waiting for me. I just didn't know. Great memory that would not have happened if I had held to the original plan or weather held us to the original plan. My point being, memories are made everywhere. They're made around every corner. It's the walk to the diner. It is the walk to get some water. It's a walk to get the beer. It's a walk around with the beer. It's the cab ride over. It's the chance meeting with an old friend. It's the chance meeting with someone who will become a new friend. That happens everywhere. It's not always the floor. It's not always the panel halls. It's not always the small panel rooms where 3 people are in the crowd. It can be those places, and it will be those places. Your Star Wars celebration memories are going to be made wherever you are. That's it for this week on Spotlight Star Wars. We'll be getting you ready for some Star Wars celebration stuff on the main show, our live Q&A show. Going to be, I think, interviewing some other guests who are going to be down at Star Wars Celebration. Look for that soon here on Spotlight Star Wars. Thank you all so much. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at Force Center Pod. You can follow us on Instagram and YouTube as well. Subscribe over there. Like our Facebook page at Force Center Podcast. Podcasts available in a lot of different spots. Just search, you'll find us. Audiobooks. You can get one on us by going to audibletrial.com/Force Center and get some merch at tpublic.com/user/Force Center. I'd love to see a lot of you in a Speculate Responsibly t-shirt. Maybe the old Force Center logo t-shirt too. And as always, you can support us directly on patreon.com/Force Center. Follow me at Ken Napzok or go to my website, kennapzok.com. That's it for now, my friends. Let's make some Star Wars celebration memories. See you next time.